Donald Trump just said something that could trigger World War III. Yesterday, a reporter asked him about Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei, warning that a U.S. attack would spark a regional war. Trump's response, "We'll find out whether or not he was right." 3 words that should terrify you. Will find out. This isn't a threat anymore. This is Trump telling the world he's ready to test whether Iran can actually back up its promises. Right now, at this very moment, Iran says they're seriously talking with the United States. But here's what nobody's telling you. While diplomats talk, the USS Abraham Lincoln sits in the Arabian Sea with enough firepower to level Tehran in under an hour. And Trump just said time is running out. Let me tell you exactly what happened in the last 24 hours that has the entire Middle East on the edge of collapse. On February 1st, Trump was speaking to reporters about Iran. Someone asked him about Khamenei's latest statement claiming that any American military action would start a regional war. Trump didn't hesitate. Of course he would say that, Trump responded. But we have the biggest, most powerful ships in the world over there, very close, a couple of days. Then he added the line that's now echoing across every war room in the world. Hopefully we'll make a deal. We don't make a deal, then we'll find out whether or not he was right. Think about what Trump just did. He didn't deny he's planning to strike Iran. He didn't walk back his threats. He literally said we're going to find out if attacking Iran starts a regional war. That's not diplomacy. That's a countdown. But here's where this gets absolutely insane. On the exact same day Trump said this, Iran's top security official Ali Larijani announced that the formation of a framework for negotiations is progressing. So Iran is saying talks are advancing, while Trump is saying we'll find out if war happens. Someone is lying, or both sides are preparing for the same endgame and nobody wants to admit it yet. Now let me connect the dots that the mainstream media is deliberately ignoring. You remember the Iran massacre we covered? 30,000 protesters killed in 48 hours. Trump drew 2 red lines for Iran. Stop the nuclear program. Stop killing protesters. Iran didn't just cross those lines, they obliterated them. 30,000 dead. Nuclear enrichment continuing. IAEA inspectors still banned. Trump told Iran there would be consequences. He sent the Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group. He posted on Truth Social about speed and violence. And now he's saying we'll find out if Khamenei's threats are real. Do you understand what this means? Trump is telling Iran and the world that he's done talking. The question isn't if he'll strike, the question is when. But something else happened yesterday that changes everything. Iran said they're talking seriously with the United States. Trump confirmed it. They are talking to us, he said, seriously talking to us. Fox News asked him if they're negotiating. They are negotiating, Trump replied. So we have active negotiations happening right now, while Trump threatens to find out if war starts. This is the most dangerous diplomatic moment since the Cuban Missile Crisis. Both sides are preparing for 2 completely different outcomes at the exact same time. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes that nobody is reporting. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi held a press conference in Istanbul. He said Iran is ready for talks, but only if they're fair and equitable. Then he dropped the bombshell. Iran's defensive capabilities and missile program will never, ever be the subject of any negotiation. Never. Those were his exact words. Now, let me tell you why that statement just made war inevitable. Trump's #1 demand is stopping Iran's nuclear program. His #2 demand is limiting their missile capabilities. Iran just said the missile program is completely off the table, non-negotiable. Do you see the problem? Trump is demanding something Iran refuses to give. Iran is offering talks on terms Trump refuses to accept. This isn't diplomacy. This is 2 trains heading toward each other on the same track. And it gets worse, way worse. Let me tell you what Iran's Supreme National Security Council Secretary Ali Shamkhani said 2 days ago. Any military action by the United States from any location and at any level will be considered the start of a war. The response will be immediate, comprehensive, and unprecedented. The aggressor, the heart of Tel Aviv, and all those who support the aggressor will be targeted. Did you catch that? Iran isn't just threatening to hit American forces. They're threatening to strike Tel Aviv, Israel's capital. That means if Trump attacks Iran, Iran attacks Israel, which forces Israel to retaliate massively, which brings in Hezbollah from Lebanon, which activates the Houthis in Yemen, which closes the Strait of Hormuz, which sends oil to $200 a barrel, which crashes the global economy, all because Trump said, we'll find out. Now, let me show you the military reality that makes this situation absolutely terrifying. The USS Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group isn't alone anymore. It's operating with 3 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. Each destroyer carries 90 Tomahawk cruise missiles with a range of 1,500 miles. Do the math. That's 270 Tomahawk missiles that can hit Tehran from international waters. The carrier itself has 75 aircraft, F-35C stealth fighters that Iran's air defense can't detect, FA-18 Super Hornets, EA-18G Growlers for electronic warfare that can shut down Iran's entire radar network. And here's the part that should scare you. Trump told reporters these ships are a couple of days away from Iran, not weeks, days. The weapons are already in position. The targets are already selected. The only thing missing is Trump's order. But let me tell you about the massacre angle that makes this personal for Trump. Between January 8th and 9th, Iranian security forces killed over 30,000 protesters. 30,000 people in 48 hours. Doctors told The Guardian that hospitals in Tehran ran out of blood for transfusions. Bodies were stacked 3 high in emergency rooms. One witness described seeing bodies piled up on each other. Iran cut the internet. They blocked phone calls. They created a total communications blackout so the world couldn't see what they were doing. Then they buried the bodies in mass graves far from where the killings happened. They forced families to sign statements saying their dead children were government supporters before releasing the bodies. This wasn't crowd control. This was systematic extermination. Trump saw this. He tweeted that help was on the way for Iranian protesters. He called it a massacre. He demanded Iran stop executing detained demonstrators. Iran ignored him. They kept killing. They kept arresting. They televised forced confessions of teenagers. And now Trump is sitting in the Oval Office watching the Abraham Lincoln move into strike position, thinking about 30,000 dead Iranians who believed America would help them. You think he's bluffing about "we'll find out"? He already bombed Iran once in June 2025. 14 bunker buster bombs. 3 nuclear facilities destroyed. He did it when Iran hadn't even killed 30,000 people. What do you think he'll do now? Here's the negotiation reality that nobody wants to admit. Iran says talks are progressing. Trump says they're talking seriously. But what are they actually negotiating? Trump wants Iran to completely dismantle their nuclear program, allow IAEA inspectors back in, stop enriching uranium, destroy their centrifuges, and limit their ballistic missile development. In exchange, he'll lift sanctions. Maybe. Iran wants sanctions lifted first. Then they'll talk about maybe slowing down enrichment, maybe allowing some inspectors to some facilities. And absolutely no discussion of missiles whatsoever. These positions aren't close. They're not even in the same universe. This isn't a negotiation. It's both sides buying time while they prepare for war. And let me tell you what the regional players are doing that proves war is coming. Saudi Arabia told the United States they will not allow their airspace to be used for strikes on Iran. The UAE said the same thing. Qatar is desperately trying to mediate. Turkey's Erdogan offered to facilitate talks. Oman is working back channels. Every single one of America's allies in the region is begging Trump not to attack. Why? Because they know what happens next. If Trump strikes Iran, Iran doesn't just hit back at America. They hit Saudi oil fields. They attack UAE ports. They launch missiles at Israel. They activate Hezbollah. They tell the Houthis to blockade the Red Sea. The entire region explodes. And all those countries asking Trump to hold back, they become targets. But here's what makes this situation uniquely dangerous. Trump isn't like other presidents. Obama drew red lines and didn't enforce them. Biden talks tough but rarely acts. Trump is different. In his first term, he assassinated Iran's top general Qasem Soleimani. He bombed Syria twice for using chemical weapons. He just invaded Venezuela and kidnapped their president 3 weeks ago. When Trump threatens military action, he means it. When he says we'll find out, he's not posturing. He's giving Iran one last chance before he finds out. Now let me tell you about the June 2025 strikes that everyone forgot about. On June 22nd, the United States and Israel launched Operation Midnight Hammer. They hit Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, Iran's 3 most important nuclear facilities. B-2 Spirit stealth bombers dropped 14 GBU-57 bunker buster bombs. Each bomb weighs 30,000 pounds. They penetrate 200 feet of concrete before detonating. Tomahawk missiles followed. F-35 and F-22 fighters entered Iranian airspace to draw out air defenses. Iran's supreme leader called it an act of war and vowed revenge. But you know what Iran actually did? Nothing. They didn't retaliate. They didn't strike back because they were terrified. They realized the United States could hit anywhere in Iran at any time, and Iran couldn't stop it. But that was before 30,000 dead, before the massacre, before Trump's ultimatum. Now everything has changed. Iran can't back down again without looking completely weak. Their entire regime legitimacy depends on standing up to America. If they surrender after Trump says we'll find out, Khamenei might as well resign. The Revolutionary Guard would lose all credibility. The Iranian people would see the government as a paper tiger. So Iran has to respond. They have to show strength, which means even if they want to avoid war, the internal political pressure might force them into one anyway. And here's the timeline that should terrify you. Trump said Iran knows the deadline. He confirmed the message was delivered directly to Iranian leaders. Only they know for sure, he said. That means there's a specific date, a specific hour. When that clock hits 0, if Iran hasn't agreed to Trump's terms, the Tomahawks launch. But Trump won't say publicly when that is. Why? Because he wants Iran's leadership counting hours in their bunkers, not knowing if they have 24 hours or 72 hours before American bombs start falling. That's psychological warfare. That's how you break an enemy before the shooting even starts. Let me tell you about the 3 war scenarios that are actually on the table right now. Scenario 1, limited strikes. Trump hits nuclear facilities again, maybe targets some Revolutionary Guard bases, takes out missile production facilities. Quick operation, in and out. Sends a message. But here's the problem. If Trump strikes, Iran has to respond somehow. Their entire legitimacy depends on it. So they launch missiles at U.S. bases in Iraq or Syria. Maybe they hit a ship in the Persian Gulf. Then Trump escalates. Then Iran escalates. And suddenly the limited strike isn't limited anymore. It's a full war that nobody can control. Scenario 2, leadership decapitation. Trump takes out Khamenei, targets top Revolutionary Guard commanders, creates chaos in Tehran, hopes the regime collapses from internal pressure. This is what Trump really wants. Not a war, regime change, but it's incredibly risky. If Khamenei is killed and the regime doesn't fall, Iran launches everything they have at American forces, at Israel, at Saudi Arabia. The entire Middle East becomes a battlefield. And if the regime does fall, what comes next? There's no plan. Marco Rubio admitted it. No one knows who would take over. It could be worse than what we have now. Scenario 3, full-scale war. Massive bombardment of Iran's military infrastructure, regime change operation, special forces on the ground if needed. This is the nightmare. This is what keeps Pentagon planners awake at night, because Iran isn't Iraq. Iran isn't Afghanistan. Iran is a nation of 90 million people with a real military. They have ballistic missiles. They have proxies across the region. They can close the Strait of Hormuz and cut off 20% of the world's oil supply overnight. A full war with Iran doesn't end in weeks. It lasts years, costs trillions, and there's no guarantee America wins. Now, here's what's happening in the next 48 hours that will determine if we get war or peace. First, watch Trump's language. If he suddenly stops threatening Iran and starts praising negotiations, it means Iran is making serious concessions behind the scenes. If he keeps talking about we'll find out and time running out, war is coming. Second, watch military movements. If more carrier groups deploy to the region, if B-2 bombers move to Diego Garcia, if tanker aircraft start pre-positioning, that's the 24-hour warning. Third, watch oil prices. If they suddenly spike above $100 a barrel, traders know something the public doesn't. Markets always know first. Fourth, watch Iran's rhetoric. If Khamenei goes quiet, if state media stops broadcasting threats, it means they're preparing for impact. If Iran keeps talking tough, they think Trump is bluffing. Fifth, watch Israel. Netanyahu might not wait for Trump. If Israel strikes Iran's nuclear sites independently, that forces America's hand. We get dragged into a war we didn't start on a timeline we don't control. Sixth, watch the protesters. If demonstrations restart inside Iran despite the massacre, if millions flood the streets again, that could be the trigger Trump's waiting for. Maximum internal chaos plus external military pressure equals regime collapse. Let me tell you what this really comes down to. Trump said 3 words that revealed everything. We'll find out. Not we won't tolerate. Not we're considering options. We'll find out. That's Trump telling Khamenei, I'm calling your bluff. You say attacking Iran starts a regional war? Okay, let's test that theory. You say you'll strike Tel Aviv and American forces. Prove it, because I have the USS Abraham Lincoln sitting off your coast with enough firepower to end your regime in one night, and I've already shown I'm willing to use it. June 2025 wasn't a warning, it was a preview. So make a deal, or we'll find out what happens when you don't. Iran is trapped. If they make a deal, they surrender. If they don't make a deal, they get bombed. If they get bombed and don't respond, they look weak. If they respond, they start a war they can't win. There's no good option. Trump knows this. That's why he's so confident. That's why he can casually say, we'll find out, like he's talking about testing a new restaurant. He's already gamed out every scenario. He's already decided what he's willing to do. The only question is whether Iran will blink first. Here's what you need to understand about the next 72 hours. This is the most dangerous moment in U.S.-Iran relations since the Islamic Revolution 47 years ago. 30,000 protesters massacred, the largest U.S. naval deployment since Iraq positioned offshore. Nuclear facilities in the crosshairs, active negotiations happening while both sides prepare for war. A president who has proven he'll use military force when threatened, and a supreme leader who can't afford to back down without destroying his own legitimacy. Something has to give. Someone has to blink. And when one side moves, the other has seconds to decide. Peace or war. Trump's "we'll find out" wasn't a slip of the tongue. It wasn't casual commentary. It was a calculated message to Tehran. I'm done negotiating. I'm done threatening. I'm done waiting. You have until my deadline to surrender your nuclear program and your missile capabilities. If you don't, we're going to find out together what happens when the full weight of American military power hits Iran. We're going to find out if you can actually close the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to find out if your proxies will really attack Israel. We're going to find out if your threats about regional war are real or just words. And when we find out, one of us isn't going to like the answer. The Abraham Lincoln is in position. The Tomahawks are loaded. The targets are locked. The countdown has begun. Iran says they're talking seriously. Trump says time is running out. Khamenei warns that any attack starts a war. Trump says we'll find out if he's right. The next move is Iran's, and they're running out of time to make it. What happens in the next 48 to 72 hours will determine if this ends with a deal or if we all find out together what Trump meant when he said those 3 words. The Middle East is holding its breath. The global economy is watching oil prices. Military commanders are updating strike packages. Diplomats are working back channels, desperately trying to prevent catastrophe. And Donald Trump is sitting in the Oval Office waiting to see if Iran blinks, because if they don't, we're all about to find out what happens next. If you made it this far, you understand how serious this situation is. Trump's "we'll find out" ultimatum isn't just another headline. It's the closest we've been to a major Middle East war in decades. So here's what I need you to do. If you think Trump is bluffing and Iran will make a deal, drop a comment with "deal." If you think we're about to witness airstrikes within the next week, comment "war." And if you think both sides are trapped with no way out, comment "trapped." Hit that like button if you want us to cover what happens next when this situation breaks. We're monitoring this hour by hour. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because when Trump gives the order or Iran makes their move, you'll know about it immediately. Share this video with anyone who needs to understand what's really happening while the mainstream media pretends this is just routine diplomacy. They're not telling you about the 30,000 dead. They're not explaining why Trump's 3 words changed everything. You just got the full picture. The next 48 hours will be critical. We'll be here covering every development. The question is, will it be a deal announcement or missile strikes? Drop your prediction below. Let's see who reads this situation correctly. Thanks for watching. Now let's see if we all find out together what Trump meant.